This is the webinar hosted by Intuit, QuickBooks, and Figured. This is the introduction to client advisory services for the agriculture industry. And I want to introduce our team here. Got myself, Tim Mangini, with Intuit QuickBooks. I'm our strategic partnership manager, also a QBO certified pro advisor. Alongside me, we have James Higgy and Mitchell Parks from Figured. And the agenda for today. So first, we're going to talk about why Figured and Intuit, what brought us together, and what does the partnership mean for the accountant channel. Next, we'll take a look at the opportunity for accountants for their farming clients. Then we'll share some key principles to think about before you begin the journey of agriculture advisory. We'll dive into a demo of how QBO and Figured work together to deliver proactive advisory services. And finally, we'll finish off with some action items and logical next steps to help you move into this opportunity. One quick note, the webinar is being recorded, so if you need to jump off, we'll send a full recording out afterwards. So why Figured and Intuit? For several years, accountants have been on the move to the cloud, with QuickBooks Online leading the charge. QBO brings a lot of cloud benefits. Most of you already know this. Things like allowing you to work anywhere, anytime on any device, providing a fully integrated platform for businesses to solve their big challenges like accounting, payroll, payments, invoicing, lending, customer marketing, the list goes on. And unlike desktop, QBO allows you to easily leverage third-party apps like Figured for industry-specific verticals. We know the bulk of agriculture clients are still using desktop today, so these benefits have not been realized by most of them. There's a real need to provide advisory services for the agriculture industry, and we'll touch on that opportunity in just a second. We also know that farmers need your expertise to navigate the ups and downs of their business. So to help with this, Intuit and Figured have come together to help you deliver enhanced farm reporting and advisory services that drive efficiency, growth, and profitability. This partnership enabled us to provide real-time financial data and insights across the entire farming team, helping both the accountant and the farmer. So together, we're committed to help you make informed decisions, increase efficiency, build business agility, and improve the profitability of both your firm and your farmers. So there's no doubt accounting in the agriculture industry is unique, presents some pretty complex challenges, and that's why specialists and experts like you all exist. We've come together to give you the tools which are as specialized in agriculture as you are. So the point here is, yes, you wouldn't take a cow to the pet vet or take a combine harvester to the local car mechanic, just like you wouldn't use general accounting tools to unlock a specialized CAS opportunity. So what does the CAS opportunity actually look like in agriculture? Well, our farmers are operating in an extremely volatile industry. Fluctuating market conditions, rising costs, and high interest rates are just some of what they face every day. They certainly need the help of a trusted advisor now more than ever before. But tax and compliance services won't help these farming clients navigate these conditions, nor will it help them grow the profitability and sustainability of their business. Research conducted by James and the Figured team here found 83% of farmers find their accountant really valuable when they provide advisory services. That's compared to only 23% when providing just tax and compliance services. And when 83% of your clients find you really valuable, things start to look a little bit different for your firm. Higher value and more meaningful work, leading to increased staff retention and motivation, greater client engagement and satisfaction, and higher billings with greater customer retention. I'll pass over to James.
Thanks, Tim. And because farmers value advisory, they'll happily pay for it. So while many think CAS is growing at a solid rate, around 16% year on year from recent research, when you relate that back to the potential in agriculture, there's actually quite a big mismatch. We've done some analysis across our existing accounting partners who service over 30,000 agribusinesses globally. you can see the breakdown across different figured products, which directly correlates to the service the firms are offering. This data shows on an average uplift of almost 200% and upwards of 300% in some instances on customer fees. This is for firms who are making strategic shift from tax compliance to a more CAS-driven service lines. What this is telling us is that within your customer base, the agricultural sector, is a substantial opportunity in front of you. Agriculture is a sector that, to Tim's point earlier, is one of the few industries in the US who is still very desktop dominant. We're looking to bring that in line with the rest of the market. Therefore, our view was if Figured and QuickBooks Online can come together and really unlock that triple-digit opportunity, this is significant both for you and your firm.
So recent stats from CPA.com and AICPA's benchmark survey, I'm sure many of you are familiar with these. They show that 79% of new advisory revenue comes from existing clients. I'm going to say that one more time. Almost 80% of new CAS revenue is coming from existing clients within the firm. So if we pause for a second and recap these last 3 slides, there's a bit of a perfect storm here. Farmers need advisory and they're willing to pay for it. Agriculture provides a significant revenue opportunity for accounting firms, and you don't have to go hunt for advisory clients. You are likely already sitting on a qualified pool of opportunities. You already have a relationship with these clients and you know their business. But let's not lose sight of this. CAS is not just an opportunity for your firm, it's one for your farmers too. We know that agriculture is a tight-knit industry, and those who work in it have a deep care for farming. Giving farmers better information for decision-making and clearer views of the future makes a meaningful difference to their success. Accurate and up-to-date information allows them to make better decisions and confidently plan for the future. Together, QBO and Figured can help ease the pressure for our accounting firms, deliver the growth that you need, and help drive better outcomes for your farmers. So with all of this, why is CAS only growing at 16%, which we mentioned earlier? The reality is agriculture is one of the most complex industries in the world. Accountants have tried to unlock this opportunity using what's available, general accounting tools and spreadsheets. The problem is you can't unlock this complex opportunity with a generic tool like spreadsheets, the same way a general accountant can't be as valuable as a specialized farming accountant. Although QBO is incredibly powerful, we know it's difficult to unlock the agriculture opportunity by combining it with spreadsheets. General accounting tools and spreadsheets have their place, but they're really not built for agriculture. That's why we partnered with Figured to give you the right tools to unlock the agriculture advisory opportunity.
Thanks, Tim. Now, before we get into things like service design, customer segmentation, marketing, the actual doing of AgriCAS, there's some fundamental things we've learned along the way, which are really important to address before getting into the delivery of these services. You are really good at what you do. Please take that as we go through the rest of the session. The fact that you've self-selected to come and join the session today, the fact you've got a successful business and you've had time in that successful business means that you've got a really strong foundation to start building your CAS services. Ag producers and farmers value continuity. They are some of the most loyal, invested clients that you could have. If the approach is correct and how we deliver CAS, they will come on this journey with you. It is really important to have a coherent approach in regards to your strategy to grow into CAS. Spending time getting this right before diving off into tactics is essential. The strategy needs to acknowledge that some of the things that make you great in tax and accounting will be of benefit to the CAS practice, including, you know the numbers. You really are the financial experts. You have a great customer base that you can work with and leverage. You have high levels of trust from those customers. You are the trusted advisor in a lot of instances. You may have a known competency in a vertical like agriculture. You may have taken thought leadership position into the market. And you might advise on technology and tech stack decisions for your clients. The opportunity is not limited to CPAs as well. There's a unique position for bookkeepers and bookkeeping businesses to take advantage of these opportunities as they also have that strong foundation. The above, when done well, allows for the farming flywheel to really start spinning. I have a poll here to help inform some of the next conversations. So I'll launch that now. Give everybody a few minutes to. So we've got a great base to work from, everybody. Let's look at that in a little bit more detail. I'll give everybody another few seconds to put their results in. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you. Share the results. From our experience, so looking back at those poll numbers, from our experience with hundreds of accounting firms, we see that CAS goals largely fall into one of these buckets. So Mitchell, can you go to the next slide, please? Into one of these buckets. Although sometimes if you're part of a larger national firm, they may be more. So let's understand where you're at, what you're trying to achieve. So thinking about how you answered in the poll, have a think about where you're in terms of your CAS journey. We've broken it down into the establishment of CAS, the scaling of CAS, and the optimizing of CAS. Please take some time to self-identify. And do these look and sound familiar? That they might do. Please take them into consideration when Mitchell takes you through the product demo shortly. So things we've learned along the way. Alongside us, we've worked with hundreds of accounting firms on this very conversation, alongside tens of thousands of farming businesses. There are things to be aware of from the outset, and to understand about the next step in your CAS journey. For the benefit of today, I'm going to address some of those that are outlined in the establishment of the CAS column. Do you need more ag experienced staff? Potentially, potentially not. Agri-specific solutions like Figured help you put guardrails up. So if you've got less experienced staff or you have trouble with recruitment, we can support you on that journey through sophisticated tools like Figured and QBO. Your clients are not asking for it. In our experience, working with tens of thousands of farmers, the farmers will not be asking for it either until it's too late or until their trusted advisor brings them in an evaluated solution. Ag producers, by their very nature, are tactile, pragmatic operators. They don't tend to deal in hypotheticals. They need a trusted advisor-led solution. We've talked about how tax and accounting is a strong base to establish CAS from, but we need to acknowledge that part of what has worked so well in the past, from a tax compliance perspective, is also potentially holding you back when it comes to CAS. There's a change in mindset, approach, skills, and processes required as you move into scale CAS. Next slide. Next two slides, please, Mitchell. One more, please. Regardless of where you're at and what your goal is, this is a must. Be opinionated. I think this is incredibly important. You're in a really unique position to support these businesses. Set it up right. Take a view on the technology that is required to be successful in this. Farmers are not financial experts. You are. No one tells a plumber what tools they should be using. Your clients shouldn't be telling you which tools to use either. Have a view. You can't establish a scale CAS with a tech stack mess. If it's not scalable, don't step towards it. Letting your clients build your tech stack will just result in multiple systems, inefficiency. It's actually really expensive to have multiple systems. Please take a strong position. Accounting firms are best placed to recommend the best solution. It's 100% in your wheelhouse. You're taking your time to invest in sessions like this. You can take that view back to clients. Farmers are probably unlikely to have considered this. They've got their rested-on solution that's comfortable. It's comfortable, but it might not be fit for purpose going into the future. Can we dovetail that with the opportunity for you to introduce CAS services? With the shift to cloud, you have a generational opportunity to introduce vertical specific solutions and services to clients. CAS is a discretionary spend by your customer. I think this is something that probably doesn't get enough airtime when we invest in these sessions. It really is a choice, while accounting and tax really isn't. There's a legal requirement. It's compulsory spend for your clients. So in a way, you're not just competing with other accountants or advisors. You are now competing for other uses of your customers' money. That's a choice world. How do you be a relevant, useful cog in their decision process? And that's a big piece to get right and consider in your strategy. thinking back to what we addressed at the beginning, it's less about the technical delivery, the learning of figure, the learning of QBO. It's around how do we design that service? How do we design that service that can introduce a cadence to a client that they're willing to invest and pay for? It's a big step, and it's a shift to competing for your customers' share of their wallet. This requires a shift in accounting firms to potentially position themselves and how they communicate, how the market communicate to the market and the services they'll provide. Today is an introductory session tailored around the establishment of CAS, but we'll go into more detail on that in the second webinar. A shift, I think this can be applied to a lot of things, both in-hand farming and in and outside the farm gate, but a shift from looking through the rearview mirror to the windshield. A fundamental goal of CAS, and I think it's probably what's the most fundamental as you start to optimize, is moving away from being reactive to being proactive. A lot of what might be delivered through a product like Figured and QBO provides an output which is interesting to view, but unless it's supported by a firm view by an advisor, it might not be actionable. At its very core, CAS is taking a proactive approach to bringing insight to your clients. It can't be just them consuming outputs. It needs to be an element of advice around those outputs. Let's acknowledge that it's going to feel different. Hey, this can be hard, and it's because it is different. Most of our work as accountants today, most of our work with accountants today, it's probably looking back at past results and performance. As you step into CAS, and this will become more apparent when Mitchell gets the product in front of you, please think to consider. You need to embrace a consultative approach. It can be scary, it can be hard, but it's probably fundamentally necessary to build the business moving forward. Move beyond simply reporting, sharing numbers, taking a hands-off approach to helping farmers grow their business. Instead, look at delving into interpreting the data, providing key insights, and offering strategic recommendations that drive the business performance and growth. We can support you in this process through service design, establishment of outputs, the cadence of delivery, investing alongside you. With all of this, we've also got the opportunity to look forward. So while almost at a table stakes level, we can act on historical and real-time information to make proactive decisions, we've actually got the ability to focus on future scenarios. Think of tax and accounting and its emphasis on historical accuracy as the rearview mirror. While CAS is in the windshield, it's future focused. It's about using financial data to provide a clear view of what's coming up, both in terms of opportunities and obstacles, enabling you to get ahead of the curve by being more proactive. You're now repositioning your services with your tools and team to be better placed for having new conversations. Conversations that come off the back of value. Move from an annualized tax relationship to something that's more in tune with what you might expect from any other commercial business. Luckily, with Figured and QBO, you can start small. Although small, it's just a way of opening up the door we would like in terms of the types of client relationships you have. The motivated, empowered team you work with, and of course, the revenue your business generates, let's invest behind a narrow and deep opportunity to provide these services and have a meaningful impact on your client's business. Slide, thanks much. Given CAS is about really living in the customer's world, be prepared to go a lot deeper with your vertical skills. As I mentioned before, you can start small but go deep. It's difficult, and probably increasingly difficult, to differentiate yourself in the eyes of the customer when you approach CAS as a generic service. Quite often when we see it introduced into an accounting firm, it'll be set up potentially as a separate service line. How can we look to actually introduce that into these specific verticals? We all know agriculture, right? It's different. Inventories managed in accounting for in a very different way to other industries. Livestock's born, raised, crops are grown from sunlight and rain. These are not purchased like traditional assets are, but developed naturally, which makes understanding, for example, break-evens and other financial metrics incredibly difficult. You either do it or you don't, typically as an advisor. Figured easily accounts for all these really unique aspects. Even some of the language, right? Metrics like profit per bushel, revenue per hectare. These are per acre. These are essential for agribusinesses. Figured seamlessly combines financial data from our friends at QBO with a variety of farm production data to provide a unique view of a farm's true financial performance. in a view, and it provides a view that looks a lot more familiar to an agribusiness. It's really hard to get engagement from a farmer or an ag producer just providing them a set of financial statements. It needs to be positioned in a way that looks familiar to them and speaks a language that they can actually act on. We support that. Generate industry-specific reports. Farmers need reports tailored to the industry, like crop season summaries or livestock performance metrics. Figured offers these types of pre-built reports that deliver these insights. The out-of-the-box generic software is not fit for purpose if you're going to stand behind a vertical, a CAS vertical to agree. Now, this is really important. We've got Jenny from Mike Bailey on the slide here. And we're going to get this into a lot more detail as we move through this webinar series. But be really clear on your objective. Can you, with confidence, say what your CAS objective is now in regards to agri? Your tech stack, please take a strong view and be opinionated. It is your position to do so. You need to be positioning that now so that then in turn you can deliver a scalable service, which can then increase the cadence and how you interact with your clients. Also, be clear about who are and aren't the right type of clients. Not every single client is going to be suitable for this. We understand that. But please don't use that as an objection to starting. Every client potentially thinks they're an outlier. We need to work with you in a narrow and deep way to build up that service. Who are the types of farmers who are really going to value CAS services? Who are those that might need the most help when the season looks tough? Could you, with confidence, really identify those using data at the moment? How we can support you on that. Who are those who are really looking to the future to either grow or expand or even succession planning? We can support you on that. And it's potentially a type of service you could actually take to the wider client base rather than having that as an ad hoc service. Again, using products, I figured. Understanding who fits with your brand, your people, and your proposition, and controlling the front door accordingly is crucial to having a high-value, scalable CAS service. I'll now hand over to Mitchell Parks, who's going to be demonstrating how Figure can help you ease or establish CAS within your firm. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Thanks, team. So we're just going to have a quick bit of a high-level overview of how some of the tools available in Figure to help you start establishing that CAS journey for you and your clients. What we'll look at very quickly is where we actually get that data and information from. So Figure uses QuickBooks Online as its one source of truth for all your financial data. That single ledger is going to pull through all of the financial information recorded in QuickBooks Online and pull that through into Figure. So all of your invoices, your bank transactions, and your balance sheet information. We'll use QuickBooks Online as that single source of truth to be able to bring that information in. Now, one thing to note as well is that the information is always live and up to date. Figure will pull through the data from QuickBooks Online at least once a day. But if you've just gone through and put out a batch of invoices, or if you've just finished reconciling the bank account for the month being, you can always come in, hit that start button, and pull through the information right then and there. Within 20, 30 seconds, you're going to have all that data again in your figured file. So you know that you're looking at that one true source of live information across your farming team. What I mean by that is that everyone is actually using the same set of live and real financial data and information. And if we jump across into the allocation tool, we can see those QuickBooks Online transactions coming through, each as their individual line item. So in this case, we can see a gas, fuel and oil expense line coming through for $7,000, just not quite $8,000. That's an actual expense that's pulled through from QuickBooks Online. And one way that you can come in here as well and sense check your information too, you can see that maybe something's been miscoded or something's not quite in the right line item back in QuickBooks Online. Just click on that blue button there where it says, in this case, expense. And we're actually going to go back through directly into that invoice or expense in QuickBooks Online. You can recode, readjust if necessary, but it's giving you that chance to actually be using the same data all at one point. You're not going to go back and forth trying to get an updated reconciliation or anything like that. You know that you can update it then and there live, resync it with Figure, and pull that information back through directly into the product. We're trying to make sure that your whole farming team is always using the same numbers to make an informed decision. So let's look at some of the more tools that are available to actually establish this. We'll start in the allocator tool. So again, we're seeing those individual transactions coming through from QuickBooks Online down into Figured. As we mentioned, it's those expenses and those income lines. This is where we can actually start to allocate them to specific cost centers or specific areas of your farming business. So for example, you might have a particular crop in the ground, and there's a certain subset of accounts or invoices or income when it's harvested that relates specifically to that one crop. And here's how you're actually going to be able to allocate that transaction to then make decisions on that one piece of the business. So, like we said, let's say we've got a corn crop, it's a 2023 season, and this is a general expense relating to that. We can also then distribute this down to a field level. So in this case, this corn crop has 3 fields applied to it where we're growing that corn. We can then allocate this $2,500 across those 3 fields based on what reflects reality. It might be an even distribution across all fields based on their area, which is what we're seeing at the moment. It splits it all out automatically. You might also want to change it so it's just equally across each field as well. Or there might be a case where you had one field had a particular high level, might have had a specific spray or fertilizer applied to it that the others didn't have. You'd be able to allocate that one expense line directly to that field. This is building into that idea of being able to get to specific break-even reporting at a field level based on the actual financial data that's coming through from your QuickBooks Online file directly down and into Figured. Now there's obviously could be hundreds of transactions that are coming through from your QuickBooks Online file. We don't want you to come in here and have to double handle everything. So to fix that up, we're going to use an allocation rule. What that does is it will link a specific account, it might be fuel and oil, and have that come through as a general account, a general expense applied across one crop, maybe 2, maybe 3. It's totally up to you based on what's actually happening on farm to reflect that. For example, we might have our 2023 overheads, and we know that there's maybe 3 or 4 accounts that relate exactly to an overhead across all those fields for that season. We'd come in here, pick those accounts, and set it up so that all of those transactions, as they sync through with Figured, are going to be allocated across each of those crops and across each of those fields. Pick the rate. In this case, we've set it up to distribute 50-50 across our corn and our soybeans for 2023, but totally customizable to reflect what's actually the actual reality. It lets you get down into the details to make those informed decisions with your whole team, with the farmer, with the advisor, and actually make a decision based on the real financial information on what's happening on your farm, and make a decision based on what might have been more profitable, what might have been less profitable than the rest of those, than other reports. So let's have a look at where this information is actually going. We'll jump into some of our production trackers. I'm going to go into my 2023 harvest group, and you see in here I've got corn and soybeans for 2023. One thing with the crop season trackers as well is that you're not limited to reporting within one financial year. These have an open range, so you pick your start date, which might be when the first seed goes in the ground, and then you might not close this tracker until the last crop's been harvested out of that paddock for the end of the year. Now that could obviously spread across multiple financial years, but it could just be the one actual crop. That's what we can do in Figured, and we can allocate all those incomes and expenses as they fall across those years. In the tracker itself, you can have a bit of an overview of where we're at this point in time. So we're looking at this particular date right now. And then we're going to start to see some of those costs coming through. These are those costs that we allocated before back in the allocator. So it's those ones that we might have allocated manually, but it's also those ones that we set up with an automatic rule to reflect what was happening at a financial level, but how's it actually impacting on my crop season. So we drill into these costs a bit further. We can see we've got our seeds and plants coming through. So these are expense transactions that were recorded back in QuickBooks, allocated them to our corn season, and then we're going to start getting right into that those break-even calculations. We've got the actual costs coming through, and we can see it broken down to a per acre level as well. So it's not just the total dollars at that point in time. We can see it as at an acreage level as well across all those different cost centers. You can expand and collapse these into as much detail or as little detail as you want, depending on how ingrained you want to get, totally dependent on the conversation that you're wanting to enable with your farmer. When harvest comes around as well, we want to be able to input that into here. So we're going to add, so then we know the production that we got, what the yield was across that field or selection of fields, and the expected income that we hope to get from that. So we've now got an asset recorded on hand. We've got that. We know what's in the silo for the year ahead, and we know what the expected income was, and we know what our costs are, all based on that data that we've collected back in QuickBooks Online from what's already gone out of the bank account, and we're using that to start making some decisions. You can also pick and choose the area. So in this case, we've got 3 fields selected, totaling 350 acres. You could run this as a general overview, run across the whole section, or break down into as many fields as you want. You could have 5 fields in here, you could have 10, you could have 20. You can break this down to get into that real detailed break-even analysis that your farmers are wanting. It could be a decision on whether they lease a block of land or whether they might purchase more land based on what is actually profitable. You'd be able to bring those cost centers into this crop season and actually make a decision based on that financial data you've got coming through. When it does come time to actually sell your crops, you'll again have that invoice will actually come through back into the allocator. We can put it specifically against this corn 2023 crop season, and then that's going to populate that data again. So we'll get the actual break even. We'll see what our income was, our gross margins were across that particular crop season. Cool. Let's have a quick look at some of the outputs. So the crop season summary report is a great tool to give you a bit of an actual high-level overview, breaking down all that information that we've just collected through the allocator and the tracker, and show it in a meaningful one-pager. So I'll bring through that corn 2023, run that report, and we can start to see it there broken down, each field coming through as its own line. All the income, all those cost centers will be coming in, but down below as well. We can show that down at a per bushel level, break it down to a per acre level, and actually see that break even at a unit level and a dollar value as well. This is bringing in all that information that we've been collecting and nurturing through QuickBooks Online and into Figured, bring it down into a meaningful report that you can have that tangible conversation with your farmer with. You can also save this report and then bring in to add in any comments or commentary that you might want. So if someone else has prepared the reports or someone else has been doing the work, they can come in here, print this off, add any comments that they might want. Or you as the reviewing partner might be able to come in here, do the same thing, review, add in any commentary, and let the whoever might have been preparing it adjust, do whatever they need to do to make sure that the report is ready and finalized before being sent out, for example. You can also share this with everyone in the farming team. So add in their email address, have this report. It'll be on hand for them to be able to view and Figured, whether that be in season, whether that be post season, or whether that be based on an upcoming discussion. There might be a weather event coming. How's this could this impact what's actually going to be happening on farm? Just really quickly, we'll look into the livestock tracker as well. So what we're looking at here is an annualized view of the farm. And this is where we can reconcile and record any of those movements of stock on hand throughout the year. So for example, if you're purchasing cattle, that expense will be recorded in QuickBooks Online. We'll then pull that through into Figured into the tracker, and we'll be able to allocate the specific quantities of stock on hand that moved throughout the year. Be able to do the same for if you're selling anything, but then we can record those natural movements as well. What was born, calves on hand, anything aging between quantities, deaths, reconciling adjustments to be able to show what's reflective on farm. And then again, breaking that down into more detailed transactions when need be. So showing, we can bring in the weights, show the dollar value per head, all in an individual transaction line. The one thing to know as well is that all this data, we know that financial data is coming through from QuickBooks. We can go back into it at any point. You can see those ones that are imported. So those relate to a specific transaction back in QuickBooks Online that we can go back to and adjust if needed. Also got the livestock gross margin report. That's collating all that tracker data over a period of time. And then we can use that to report into gross margin reporting. What were the profitable stock? What weren't? What could we do differently to make a decision going forward based on what's we've already recorded, what's at the bank account, and what's actually moved on farm. Break it down into some specific KPIs as well. Show the value at a per head level. We're all about trying to make it so that it enables you to have a tangible conversation with your client in a way that they understand and can actually go out and make a change on farm that's going to add value to their business. One other tool that we can go through is the report packs function. This is the way that you'll be able to really start reporting and then doing value add CAS at scale across a number of clients. The report pack tool gives you a way to bring in a select number of accounts, of reports, sorry, set at on a predetermined way. So what I mean by that is you can have a specific cash flow report, crop season summary, and a variance report from this season to last season, going out at scale. You can have this set up at an organizational level so that each one of your farmers are going to be receiving the same set of accounts, but specific to their farm. It means that you don't have to go in and print out a subset of accounts for each individual farm every time they want it or every time you think you're going to need it. We can automate this and actually scale it in a way that your whole team, whether that's all the people in your firm as well, are using the same set of accounts to make an informed decision to enable a conversation with each of their clients. So for example, this one's set up, we've got it set up with the dynamic naming options. So that means every time it's run, it'll automatically input the farm name. It'll automatically input the time of year that it's being run for. And then it's going to run those three reports. So cash flow, a profit and loss, and a variance report. You can also schedule this. So instead of actually coming in and running it, input your own email, input your review partner's email, and have it set to be sent out on the 20th of each month, for example, or every 2 months when you know that the tax accounting's been done, the bank accounts are reconciled, and all that data has been updated and flowed through into Figured. What that'll do is each month, each week, whatever you select, you'll have an email in your inbox with a PDF output of each of those reports coming through, showing what's actually happened on farm for that last period, and then let you either make a decision, forward it on to the client, or have it ready to send and schedule directly out to the client as well. It's up to you based on how you want to enable those conversations. So again, we can see what that output looks like. We've got our cover page, set this up with your firm, make it customizable to the farm. And then coming through into, again, we've got our cash flow report coming in, our variance report, and in this case as well, a crop season summary report at that particular time, all set up on a predetermined set of filters so that you know you're looking at the same thing every time. Whoever's going in to run it, they know that they're going to be running the same outputs each time. There's no confusion between who's looking at different data, who's running a different spreadsheet to get a different set of reports. We know that we're using the same one source of truth information pulled through from QuickBooks Online and compiled through Figured. Thanks, team. I'll hand back over to James and Tim.
All right. So in terms of next steps, Mitch, you can pull up that slide deck real quick. As promised, we'd like to help you move into this opportunity. In terms of what's next, we want to take you through what we covered today and give you some tangible next steps. So really, there's 3 things that we want to leave you with from today's webinar. And let's see here. One more slide. There we go. The first is to register for our second webinar, which is next Thursday, May 30th. If you scan this QR code here, that'll take you into the registration. This one's going to be a little bit different. This revolves around how to get started with CAS in agriculture. This will include things like customer segmentation, defining your ideal customer profile, productized advisory using tools like QBO and Figured, and what that service design and delivery looks like, and then how to actually market and communicate this to your farming clients. Figured's going to have their head of marketing, Forsyth Thompson. He's going to share and join some tips on what's been successful with other accounting firms. So we encourage you to come to this next one. And of course, if you can't make it, as long as you register, we can send you the recording. And then the next slide is our second action item. If you'd like to get your hands on some of what Mitch showed today, we do have access to a demo account for Figured. There's a free interactive demo available. If you scan this code, you can also visit figured.com/demo. This gives you access into the platform and guides you through a lot of the features that Mitch demoed today. And then the last piece is you can reach out to myself or James directly if you want to find out more about anything that we've shown today, or you can also book a customized demo with both of our teams. So this QR code will take you there. We're also going to send a follow-up email that will have a link for you to book time with us. And that's it for today. So we thank you for joining us. We hope it was valuable. If you have any feedback, please let us know. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week on the next webinar. Thank you.